Hi guys, kamusta kayo dyan? How are you this evening? Yan, welcome everybody to GCPinas number 2. Yan. Welcome. GDG Cloud Manila is happy to collaborate with Google to bring you this hands-on learning opportunity. Um, GCPinas is an online self-study program that allows developers in the Philippines to use real cloud environments, Google Cloud environments, that helps developers and IT professionals learn cloud platforms and software. And of course, we will also have cool prizes for you for all of our dear participants. For our agenda for tonight, number one, I will go through an introduction about GDG Cloud Manila uh, and GCPinas program. Then we'll meet Jan, our customer solutions consultant, who will share about uh, skills in the cloud world. And then finally, we will meet Anil, who will help us on everything related to the course, how to start an account on Skills Cloud Boost, redeem code, and start your first lab. Some flows, tips and tricks, and we'll also go through quests and live demo. And finally, we'll have some Q&As with the participants, with all of you. So firstly, what is about GDG Cloud Manila? So we are actually the youngest GDG Cloud chapter in the Philippines. We are GDG Cloud, so we are cloud focused. We focus on the Google Cloud platform. And then we are a developer community. So we have been setting up meetups. We've been collaborating with other developer communities to bring uh, inspiration, support with each other as we learn cloud technologies, specifically GCP. So here, just to give you some pictures, if you are a participant before, pre-pandemic, we meet face to face. We visit offices, visit schools, and get our hands dirty with uh, cloud study jams. If you are a participant before, please do shout out and say hi. So before, we've been going around the Philippines, going around Metro Manila, and studying and having fun. In GDG Cloud, we also set up conferences like this one before. We held the Cloud Next Extended Manila, and we had very interesting speakers and experts in the region. And we also had our Cloud Dev Fest, where we also have speakers from the community themselves. And of course, other experts around the region. So just a quick announcement, DevFest will be back. We'll be back on November 24. That is a Saturday. And just watch out for announcements. So finally, if you want to help, we're always looking for volunteers. We are also looking for speakers. And yeah, let's contribute let's share our time and expertise with each other, so all of us will grow as individuals and as a community. So at this point, I'll just run you through with our study jams. Let me introduce to you our program. So this is an online upskilling campaign for developer communities to learn and connect about technology. So there are two aspects to it. It's self-paced learning. Uh, kanya-kanyang pacing lang tayo. Learn in your own time. Learn and in your schedule. But of course, it would be fun if you can have people to join learning with you. Of course, we also want to learn as a group. So we have set up a community on Discord for that as well. And the second aspect is gamification. Of course, pampasaya ng buhay. Dito, we are learning, but we will also score swags. So more about that later. Yeah. So we're happy to run the second GCPinas this year, Pinas. In this campaign, we will focus on learning cloud infrastructure, big data, and machine learning. Let's just go through some activities during this campaign. We are right now on the first step, initial event. So this is October 21. So Friday na Friday, ano tayo, mag-aaral pa tayo. So it will run through up to 1 month, so up to November 10. So yan yung ano natin. 1 month tayo, guys. So the kickoff is today, and hopefully you have received an email already, a confirmation. If not, please check your spam folder. Watch out or unblock GCPinas at google.com. And then once we will conclude on November 19, and then we'll have some the swags will be distributed up to December, around December 10. So we have a Discord channel here. If you haven't joined yet, please go to oo.gle Google GCPinas 2022-chat to join in our discussions. So we have quests. So these are our data analytics quests. Medyo mahaba sila, marami. We can post this again in our chat group, chat community. And then we'll also have infrastructure quests. So yan yung mga DevOps, serverless, data, SQL, and all that stuff, all that good stuff. And finally, for the swags, you have to complete 6 quests. Kung nakaabot tayo ng 6 questa, yung quest is, ito yung group of labs. So 6 quests will earn us a cap, a mug, and some stickers. But if you finish 10 quests, you'll also get a t-shirt in addition. So yan. Only missions completed between October 21, which is today, up to November 19, 11:59 p.m. will be considered in the redemption process. And so at this point, I'm happy to introduce to you and turn over uh, the mic to Jan Michael Jodian. He's a customer solutions consultant in Google Cloud. So take it away.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Yeah, good evening. Happy Friday to everyone. Thanks for joining. So basically, my topic is around how do we shape our skills in the cloud world? What's happening in the market, what's changing in the technology space, especially in the cloud. So hopefully, I can give a couple of guidance and some pointers in terms of how do we actually navigate, the very complex and even large, technology space, not just around cloud, but also the developments around not cloud, right? Or in and outside of cloud. Okay. Commonly, when I talk to my customers, there are a couple of things I actually get, and are asked. The first one is, where should I start? Especially for those organizations or individuals who hasn't started yet, who are coming from on premises technology, or are their students primarily, or just fresh off school, who would like to be able to catch up, or learn cloud. And then for those who are already in the cloud space, once you've been building, in the cloud, even for the past few years, you would hear about more and more of these announcements, right? In Google Cloud, basically, like, how do we catch up? Typically, is the question I'm being asked more and more, right? Because they're hearing about Cloud Run, they're hearing about open source technologies like Knative. How can we run that in GCP? All of these kinds of things are being asked, right? Now, let me give you a couple of pointers in terms of how do we now navigate and start your journey, or even how do you catch up? How do you keep up to speed, right? So what I'm going to give, actually, this five next pointers are not really like bulleted or tracks that you can just look at it as a curriculum. As we know, in the post school world, there is no such curriculum. So what I'll give, hopefully, are pointers that could help you at least have a good baseline, even if you're both, catching up on cloud or just starting your journey in learning cloud. All right. So for me, and also this is my learning once I've started, leveraging cloud a couple of years ago, several years ago actually, is you need to go back to the basics, right? You need to have a very foundational appreciation of the concepts of storage, network, and compute, right? I'm not sure how many people here are computer science graduates or are in bachelor's, or even if you're already an IT practitioner. Going back to the basics is very, very important, right? Why? Because going back to the basics actually helps you a lot more in terms of navigating the right solutions or tools that you need to use. As an example, which kinds of disks do you want to use in a database? Or what kind of database or data storage that you would use for certain technologies or applications that you're trying to build? You would notice that in the cloud space, there's a lot of options just on storage alone, compute, and even network, right? How does a CDN work? What does caching mean? All of these fundamental concepts, right? If you've forgotten them from school, or if you've been doing storage solutions or IT in the past, right? Then what do you call this? Having a full appreciation, even if the technology is changing or having updates, you would be able to appreciate more and more of what those technologies are, right? And then it will actually be, serve as a good guidance to navigate the right solution or architecture, even, so you can solve what you're trying to solve, right? Second, this is also what I've noticed in the industry, actually, more so. Um, there's got to be both breadth and depth in terms of technology, skills. So in the cloud space, You can elect to be very, very good at that one area. You can be focused on application development, security, or even a network specialist within your organization or your company or whatever, right? But it really, really helps, or even you're from a career perspective, or you're trying to, upskill your way up or forward in your career to understand how everything else works together, right? If you're starting up a company of your own in the next few years or maybe next month, right? Having a full appreciation of how things work together would really, really help you navigate and understand, when you're making day-to-day decisions on your design, on the applications, which code, which compute, which architecture you would opt for, would help you once you have a full appreciation, right? As you progress, become a solution architect, or become, sort even a specialized uh, career in the cloud space, like security, having this full appreciation of the breadth and available kinds of technologies out there. If you're venturing into technologies such as blockchain, or if you're going back to just basic, MySQL database management, having a full breadth and depth will help you a lot in navigating, your skills in the cloud. Third is understand when and when not to use that particular technology. So for me to fully understand how technology actually works is by knowing when not to use it, right? So it's very, very easy for everyone to read a documentation, watch a YouTube link, or even me telling everyone to say, you know what, this particular database is good for this. You would like to use this to build this application, like an e-commerce web application, right? But if you look at it, the situation really is that there are so many databases available, open source, cloud native ones. But the question here is not everything, right? Every database serves the purpose of what you're trying to build every time, right? So NoSQL databases may not appeal to or actually serve its purpose or maximum purpose uh, when you're basically misaligning the features or the right capabilities of certain technologies to the wrong ones, because if your sort of your benchmark to make those decisions is based on experience, like meaning like or affinity to certain databases or tools, you would say, oh, I'm going to use this database because that's what I know, this is the stack I know, etc. But in the cloud space, since there are so many options to choose from, understanding when not to use a particular database would help you a lot in making those design decisions and even basic application development decisions that you'll have to make if you're still learning or even building a global scale application. It's the same. Okay. The fourth one is, it's very important, actually. For me, the most important bit to this one is finding the real problem to solve, right? First and foremost, this should be your focus. The tools are available in the toolbox. It will be there. That's the essence of cloud. It's available on demand, on at the rate we're in. It's not capex intensive or requiring any capex at all, actually. But solving the real problem, be it like you're in school having your thesis. Having a thesis is actually also about solving the right problem, right? So I've seen a lot of projects fail because they're not necessarily solving the right problems. They're try to solve the problem by looking at the tools first, right? So don't get hung up on the tools. So ask the right questions to yourself, to your team, and into your customers. What are we really trying to solve? Are you solving for reliability? Are you solving for cost? optimization? Are you solving for better latency if the gaming application that you're building? Are you solving for security, right? It's very important to really understand what you're really trying to solve for, right? Fifth is, and it's also very important, is to learn, solve, fail, fix, and very important, iterate this whole experience as a team. For me, in my experience working for Google, is actually the best and fastest time to learn for me is actually working with people who are better than me in terms of particular space and technology. I'm good at one space, but learning as a team actually equipped me more time. I would say 1 hour of time with better people in terms of other technology that I'm not very good at is equivalent to, like, I would say 1 week of just going through documentation. That's key, right? So, and having to learn as well is, I would say, requiring an actual problem to solve, right? That you jointly believe in, that you want to solve this. And the more important part to that is after you've solved that, typically, I think in IT and for those current practitioners, you would see that once you solve a certain problem, another thing that is going to arise, be it on reliability or whatnot, it will still be key to actually iterate and improve what you've built on. It could be a change, re-platform, or whatnot. It's important to iterate in that sense. So let me try to share something a bit more practical, right? On how do you actually start, right? Because I've been sharing a few things here and there. Um, the first one is this one, right? If you can click the link or read the QR code, the first one really is this is actually what Google, one of our key people like Brad here and Brad Calder and Anna Berenberg, they're part of Google, and they created this very agnostic view and things in terms of how do you design and build applications in the cloud. Very fundamental look at things on how to look at zones, regions, very fundamental things that you need to know in terms of appreciating how cloud is. If you're building, especially for those IT practitioners in this call, or in this session, is how do we build like a multi-cloud architecture? How do I build a hybrid architecture? How I build like a fully cloud-native application, right? This is a good start, right? In my view, it's very detailed also, and lots of good stuff there. So it's actually a good reading for everyone. The second one is I would recommend teaming up. So learn as a community. So you should be able to learn, via the Discord chat. You can introduce yourself, finding, maybe a joint project together, exploring some technologies within Google Cloud. Because again, to my point, learning as a team, yeah, I would say there's no equal to that in terms of experience and also the acceleration you get in terms of learning, right? For me, that's even better than staying in 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day sitting through like long trainings, but building and solving something together with colleagues who may know more than you in terms of certain technology areas would really accelerate your journey and your capability in living in the in the career wise in the cloud, right? So lastly is solve, right? So I've gotten a lot of feedback or questions coming from customers, even people that I know, right? Who wants to certify, who wants to get certified in Google Cloud. And my colleague Anil will be sharing some bits on the certification side of things, right? Is that for you, to improve your, I would say, chances of passing the certification, there's no alternative to actually trying to solve something because they or build something or use the platform itself, right? Um, and if you look at this link, like there's actually a free tier. So for students or even individual practitioners or corporate practitioners, or, there's a link here that you can actually start to navigate on how to use Google Cloud because of this free tier. So if you go to that link or go to this website, is that you will see that you can actually leverage some of the free tier to build very simple applications so you can test out the technology itself, right? So it's very important. Although my recommendation here is if you're starting, and even if you're building it as a team, start with simple problems to solve. And so you would get a full appreciation on how, different Google Cloud is. There's some, difference on how, for example, our network topology is. But having that, simpler approach to things will actually give you more of a better foundational, um, I would say, uh, knowledge of the platform rather than go ahead and start spinning up your own Kubernetes cluster on the cloud, right? Start simple. That's my sort of like recommendation for everyone, right? So, um, with that, I would like to thank everyone for letting me speak for around 20 minutes on how can we basically navigate or shape our career in terms of, you know, cloud. All right. Thank you and good night. And I would now hand it over to my colleague Anil, who would be speaking and I'm doing a demo as well on Skills Boost. Right. Uh, Anil.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for joining this session. We really, really appreciate your time. A quick introduction. My name is Anil Sagar. I've been with Google for almost like 9+ years. I'm a customer engineer at Google Cloud, focusing on infrastructure modernization. In this session, we will see what is Google Cloud Skills Boost platform and a simple demo of the platform with a lab on how to deploy a container in a serverless environment in Google Cloud. Whenever it comes to learning new things, there is no better way than actually doing the things hands on. That's our Google Cloud Skills Boost platform, where you can learn thousands of skills related to cloud by doing things and implementing in Google Cloud Skills Boost platform. How do you get access to this platform and complete the quests to get that amazing perks that Brian talked about? We will see that in today's session. You might have received an email when you registered in the program. Go through the email instructions. There is also a video that helps in how to get access to the Google Cloud Skills Boost platform. So please follow the steps, and there is also a video. I'll quickly go through how does the registration process looks like. When you get access to the Google Cloud Skills Boost platform, there are different learning paths that you can take. You can be a network engineer, you can be a security engineer, you can be a data analytics engineer, or you want to learn about cloud architecture. There are different learning paths that you can take in the Google Cloud Skills Boost platform. Every time when you complete a certain quest or a lab, you also get some nice cool badges that you can share with LinkedIn community or other community as well. So today we're going to see how does Google Cloud Skills Boost platform works with a sample lab where I'm going to show you how to deploy a container in a serverless environment in Google Cloud using Cloud Run solution. So let me start sharing my screen. I hope you can able to see the screen. When you receive an email, you get details how to register and how to get access to the Skills Boost platform. So also there is a link to YouTube video which explains how to get access to the different quests. This is a sample email that you will receive from us when you register. Again, please follow the steps mentioned in the email. Go to the step 1 where you will be navigated to Google Cloud Skills Boost platform. To enroll in the quest, you first need to sign in. If you have a Google Cloud account, you can just log in, or you can use the create new account option at the bottom to create a new account. You can also do manual registration, or again click on sign in with Google and log in into the Cloud Skills Boost platform. It takes only a couple of minutes to get access to different labs where you can actually do hands-on exercises. Agree to terms and conditions, and then you will be inside Skills Boost platform. Once you log in into the Skills Boost platform, you can navigate to the quest or a lab that you are interested in. For example, a sample lab looks like this. And to start the lab, basically you click on start the lab option on the far left side, and you will be presented with a couple of options. Again, follow the instructions, just click on launch with 1 credits, and you will be entering the lab. So that's a quick introduction to how to get access to different quests and labs. But today we will be looking at how to do a sample lab in action. So this is a Skills Boost platform. Like I mentioned, there are different learning paths where you can take. For example, you might want to get knowledge on cloud architect and you want to prepare for cloud architect certification. You can go through this particular path. Again, if you are a network engineer, if you want to learn about Google Cloud networking, you can go through this particular path. Whenever we go into a particular learning path, you will be given with a list of quests and the labs. Again, if you are interested in a certain lab, you can pick from the list that we have given to you, or you can search and get access to it. For example, in today's session, we will see how to deploy a container in a serverless environment using Google Cloud solution called Cloud Run. So before I start the lab, let me ask a quick question to the people here, and please type your answer in the chat window. If you want to create a container and deploy in a Kubernetes environment, install Kubernetes, and get the nodes up and running, and get the control plane set up, and start running your container inside the Kubernetes environment, how much time does it approximately take from scratch? If anybody has a Kubernetes experience, please type your answer in the chat window. How much time does it take to set up entire Kubernetes environment from scratch to run a container workload? Generally, it takes anywhere between few hours to a few days if you want to do it using from scratch on a local machine or in an environment where you actually spin up your own containers, where you actually spin up your own nodes and your node Kubernetes cluster. If you do it manually, right? But if you do it in Google Cloud, it's a matter of minutes. You use Google Kubernetes Engine. But when you use Google Kubernetes Engine, you actually need to manage the nodes and worry about how do you scale it and the operations of it. We have a better version of the Google Kubernetes Engine where you don't need to worry about operations, but focus on here is my container, Google just run it. That's our Cloud Run. Cloud Run is a completely serverless solution to run containers where you don't need to worry about operations of Kubernetes Engine. So let's see how to do this in using Skills Boost platform. So you click on Start the Lab. Once you start the lab, there will be timer running, and you have to finish the lab within the timer. Otherwise, you have to start the lab again. Once you click on Start the Lab, you will have different options: username, password, and GCP project ID, and a link to open the Google Cloud Console. What's important is copy this link and open it in incognito window, because when you do this lab, you won't be charged and it will be under this Quick Labs account. If you open in the same window, sometimes by mistake you might be using your personal account where you already have Google Cloud account, and you will end up getting billed for that. So always use incognito window. And username is automatically filled, and then you copy the password into the console and then log in. So let me resize, hope you're able to see the better. So there are detailed instructions available where you can go through this lab contents, and every single step is documented with images and very detailed instructions. So the moment you log in, you will be given terms and conditions screen. Accept the terms and conditions and click on agree and continue. And Google Cloud comes by default with a Cloud Shell, which is like a Bastion host to interact with the Google Cloud resources. Obviously, you can also use the user interface to do various tasks like creating the instance, enabling the APIs, creating VMs, etc. But we do have inbuilt console where you can able to start interacting with the cloud solutions using the command line. Most of the developers like command line. So click on activate Cloud Shell, and then you can able to authorize using this command gcloud auth list. Click on authorize. Basically, we are giving access to this project to this cloud console. Again, you can able to configure your project by using this command gcloud config list project. Again, you can see it's automatically configured here. This is the project ID, Quick Labs GCP -00, and the numbers. You can also see it in the top. And first thing you need to do is enable the Cloud Run API to use the Cloud Run solution. Again, you can do it with simple command using gcloud services enable run google.apis.com. So what does it do is basically it activates the Cloud Run solution in your project. As you can see, it is successfully finished. So when you use Google Cloud Skills Boost, you can always check the progress, whether you have done it correctly or some mistake you have done, or you have done according to the instructions and the progress of the lab. So make sure you check your progress when you do the labs, and based on that, the score will be calculated on the right side. As you can see in the yellow bar, it's updated from 25 by 100. That means you almost completed 25% of the lab. So let's look at how to create a simple container, a Hello World container, and deploy it in a serverless environment where you don't need to worry about managing the Kubernetes control plane. You don't need to worry about managing the runtime plane, which are the nodes. You don't need to worry about sizing the nodes and other things, because it's completely serverless solution for running your containers. So let's create our application. Go back to the command line. So I'm gonna quickly create a simple directory, make directory hello world-node.js. So in this lab, we will be using Node.js to see how Cloud Run works. And then log into the directory, and let's create package.json. So I just created package.json. Create our second file called index.js. Again, there is an easy way to copy so that you don't take any extra characters or anything when you're copy pasting. Just click on the copy, and the code base will be there for you without any special characters when you copy. So we just written our simple hello world application where where when you access the URL, it just says hello world listening on the port with some message. So we just created the application. Let's containerize it using the Docker file and then deploy it. So let's create a new file name called Docker file in the same in the same folder, and then copy its contents. These are the instructions how to build the image. So we can get the project name by using this particular command, gcloud config get value of the project. So it will give the project ID quicklabs-gcp. So this will be different for your lab. Now let's build the container image using the cloud build, one of the service in Google Cloud to build the container images. So the instructions that we will be using is basically gcloud's build submit tag and the project name slash hello world. So we just need to edit the project ID. So let me change the project ID and execute it. So we will be creating the Docker image, and we will be uploading that into the Google Cloud registry. So when you run this command, it will automatically build the container the Docker image, and it will push to Cloud registry where your image will be stored. And you can see the list of images using this command, gcloud container images list. So it just now, as you can see, it is just building the image. And once it successfully push the image to container registry, um, you will see the successful message. So this is very similar to Docker Hub, the Google Cloud Container Registry. So we'll just give a couple of seconds. As you can see, it is success, and you can see it pushed to Google Cloud Storage, which acts like a Docker Hub where you store your image. So let's list the container images that we just created using this command, gcloud container images list. And you can see the gcr.io, the image that we just pushed. And to run and test the application locally from Cloud Shell, we can use this again command. So before we actually deploy to the Cloud Run. So let me copy this command quickly and test locally before we actually push to Cloud Run. So let me change the project ID. Just downloads the image first time. Let's just give a couple of seconds to download it. And we can check locally as well how this image is running in that Cloud Shell itself. So you can preview locally by going to web preview and preview on port 8080. So you can see hello world. But right now it is deployed locally on this particular Cloud Shell instance. But let's see how to deploy it to the Cloud Run, which is a complete serverless environment to run the containers. But let's quickly check the progress before we go and deploy it to the Cloud Run. So deploying to the Cloud Run is as simple as this one single command line. So gcloud run, which is Cloud Run, deploy image, and give the Docker image where we stored in the cloud uh, uh, registry. So we're gonna copy this command, go back, and then gcloud run deploy minus minus image gcr.io, give the project ID. So I'm gonna copy the project ID and use it. So we can just give the service name and choose the location where we're gonna deploy. Again, for this lab, I'm gonna select US Central 1, which is number 27. So, yes. As you can see now, this particular Docker container image is getting deployed to the Cloud Run. So it takes care of creating services and everything for you. In a few moments, you have your Docker image, Hello World, the container deployed in the Cloud Run and ready for you to use. As simple as that. Let's give a couple of minutes for the application get deployed in the Cloud Run. So again, to recap, uh, typically running containers using Kubernetes engine needs many resources, many steps if you're doing it manually. But if you use Kubernetes engine, again, it'll be done in few minutes, but still you have to manage the infrastructure, which includes the runtime plane. But here, you don't need to worry about the nodes, you don't need to worry about the pods, you don't need to worry about sizing. Basically, Google Cloud Run manages everything for you. It's completely serverless environment. Have your container image push to Google Cloud Run, and it just runs and it scales and it takes care of all the operations behind the scenes for you. So let's just give a few seconds for the container deployed on the Cloud Run. Once it is deployed, we will have an URL using which we can start accessing our application. So we're almost there at the end of the lab. Just give another couple of seconds. We can see it's getting updated. So it's done. Our application is ready. So let's go and test the application. So copy the URL and open the new window. You can see Hello World. There you go. We just deployed our container in a completely serverless environment in Google Cloud using the Cloud Run. And we have done it using command lines. That means we can automate every single step using CI/CD process. We can also see our deployed application. For example, if I go to Cloud Run, you can see the Hello World has been deployed and you can see the green mark. So let's check the progress. Click on check my progress. You can see it's done, assessment completed. Again, once you complete the lab, don't forget to actually do the cleanup because we need to gracefully shut down the lab uh, before we click on end lab. So let's delete the image that we have uploaded. So go back to the command line, gcloud container images, delete pcr.io, and copy the project ID. So the container will be deleted. And let's delete the Cloud Run service that we just deployed and execute the command. Done. So we just completed our first lab. Congratulations. So you can see the lab is completed. You can see the score 100 by 100. And once you're done, click on end the lab. And you can don't forget to give the feedback about the lab using the rating and comments. So that's a simple demo of how to deploy containers in a serverless environment in Google Cloud. If you have any questions, we are more than happy to answer them. Hope this session is useful for you. Again, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Let me hand over the session back to Brian. Brian, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Yan. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Anil, and thank you, Jan, for your demos and talks about our Cloud Study Jam and GCPinas. Please type in your questions and we'll acknowledge your questions and we'll answer it here if we can. If not, we can also discuss using our official chat platform on Discord. And can a beginner like me without any knowledge on network engineer can learn topics about network engineering? Ayan, may magandang question. So, about learning.
Let me try to take a stab at this, and maybe Anil can also chime in a bit. Right? My recommendation is sometimes the course would pertain to some terminologies that you may not be familiar with, or even the concept around it. Right? By beginner, I think let's assume zero knowledge on networking. My recommendation is at least get foundational network knowledge at minimum, right? So there are a bunch of YouTube, tutorials or even introduction to networking, how routing works, all those kinds of fundamental aspects. I think that's a good way to start, right? Before you actually get to like network engineering tracks within Google Cloud. So that's my opinion there, Anil.
Yeah, absolutely, John. So, obviously, you need to have the foundations of the networking. What is an IP address? How does a computer talk to another computer, right? So, once you have these fundamentals, when you start learning the cloud, all these fundamentals will help in understanding how do you do the same thing that you are doing today in your college or in your office, but how do you do it in the cloud, and how cloud is efficient in creating these networks and scaling to millions of users to serve the applications. So it's important to get the basics of the networking before start learning about how networking works in the cloud.
If I may add, Tagalogin ko na. Dahil ano naman Filipino community naman to eh. So I'll use the local. So number one, if you have determination, pag determinado ka talaga, gusto mo matutunan to, fight, ano. So lahat ng bagay pwede matutunan. Pero basta determinado ka, number one. Pero ngayon, practical, sometimes you can go through a lab and then may stuck ka, ano to? Parang para ka magtitingin ng dictionary. Parang ka nagbabasa ng nobela. Uy, may bagong salita. Tingin nga ako sa dictionary. So, ay, teka, ano? So, minsan, going through the process of the labs, may stuck ka or you will see some words, some terminology that you might not be familiar with. Then why not mag-back read tayo? So that's another way. Medyo parang medyo reverse engineering type of of process. So minsan, sige, ano ba ay teka, kulang pa ako dito. Hindi ko pa to kabisa. So yun. That's one way. Pero maraming paraan para mag-aral at matutunan ang mga bagay. Pero number one, if you're determined, you will you will learn everything that you want to learn.
Thanks, Brian. So there is another question. I only know some AWS services. Would it be hard to learn GCP? Let me take the first cut of it, and then John can add on to that. Um, if you know AWS, it's great, because when it comes to the cloud, most of the cloud fundamentals are same, whether it's AWS or Google Cloud or any other platform. But when it comes to Google Cloud, The way you do certain things in the cloud is different in Google Cloud, but the concepts are same. But the way you do and how efficiently we run is different compared to other cloud providers. So to answer this question, if you know AWS services, would it be hard to learn GCP? No, it's not hard. In fact, it helps a lot to quickly learn GCP. Hope that answers the question. John, you want to add?
Yeah, I think we get this question a lot actually, Anil and I, right? The shorter answer, another aspect to that is, I think my recommendation is to try it out, right? So you would see actually if you want to run containers on Cloud Run, the quests that were selected here would actually let you see how easy it is to navigate from if you're already an existing cloud user coming from other cloud providers like AWS and Azure. And going back, the foundations, the basics would really help you out to sort of like transition some knowledge there, right? So VMs are VMs, but to Anil's point, there are things there are done differently because a lot for example how development or developing applications there are a bit different from how you're accustomed to in working, will be different.
Uh, Thanks, John. Again, there are a lot of differentiating factors that you will see in Google Cloud. You will be surprised as well how efficient Google Cloud is. The reason is most of the technologies that you see in Google Cloud, it actually came from Google. And in fact, today, if you see any cloud technology, one way or another, it all points back to Google again. For example, if you take Kubernetes, we actually open sourced it to the community. Google built Kubernetes, and internally it's called Bark. So a lot of differentiators in Google Cloud, you will find it. There is one more question. Will GCP Cloud Security Engineer be a good career path role here in Philippines? Maybe I will let John answer this question.
Yeah, that's actually a good question, right? I would say yes, right? So the first thing for any organization to actually transition to cloud, right, coming from companies who are starting or even startups, one aspect that will never go away is security, right? And there's actually, I would say, a demand even in having folks who are, I would say, good security engineers in the cloud, right? Because it's a bit different than how you would see security engineering in the traditional sense. So having the skills, sort of like upskill, quote unquote, upskill to the cloud, would actually help out, and that would actually address a certain gap in organizations who are adopting the cloud, right? So if you're working for an enterprise like a bank, security is number one. Well, actually, in Google Cloud, whenever we start anything, security is number one. We always have to talk about. So it's very important.
So we have another question from the audience. Should I dive right into the Quest labs or can I study the courses on a certain path first? For example, data analyst path. Uh, Brian, John, you want to answer this question?
I would say, makakatulong, or if you know some, the basics, like concepts. If you're studying, for example, a data, you're interested into the learning about data analyst. You want to go deeper in that path as as a career option. Of course, the courses, the knowledge that you gain from the concepts would really help you. And then you will parang i-connect mo siya to the tools that we have in GCP. So, but for the quests, dito you will see, you will parang experience that how everything is done on Google Cloud. At dyan mo maa-appreciate yung yung concept to parang from idea concepts to parang reality and practice. So I think it would help each other. The quests and the labs will help with the concepts, and then of course the concepts, if you have it, parang you have background knowledge already when you go into the labs. But I would say, to simplify things, just go into the labs, uh, get your hands parang dirty, and then look at the items there that where you're confused, and then just post them into our group chat, and then let's work our way back, and let's learn some, baka may mga fundamental concepts that we're stuck about. The community is very rich, actually. There are lots of local experts, there are lots of good people here in our community, and yeah, wag mahihiya. Just post your questions. We'll be happy to answer in the Discord chat.
Yeah, I just wanna add one more thing there, right? I think most of the quests, if you'll notice, right, are actually largely part of the data analyst paths already. So it's actually a mishmash. So I would say you would already cover like 70%, 60 to 70% of the quests that you would go through anyway in the data analyst path, right? So couple of things, right? If you have some concepts there that you need more information about, from the skills boost quests, is number one, to ask the Discord channel, because myself and Anil and Abi are in there, and some of the other folks here in the Discord channel may be able to help answer some concepts or questions, right? And yeah, so that, and then of course documentation is available as well in our site in Google Cloud. Right.
Thanks, John. So we have a question. Can I also take other quests that are not included in the missions? Maybe I can take the first cut and Brian can add. So yes, you can take other quests, but only quests on the list will be counted towards requesting the swags. So if you want the swags, then you have to complete the one we have given in the list. Once you complete them, all of them, then if you want to learn, you can learn other quests as well. Also, other important thing is you need to start and end this quest between 21st October and 19th November 2022. If you have done it already, it is not counted. You have to do it between these dates so that we can track, and those who have completed, they can distribute the swags. Brian, anything you want to add on this?
Nothing to add. You perfectly said. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
No email received yet. Okay. Be patient. Number one, check your spam folder, please. And if not, please register again, and we'll run through the email sender in that case. So for those who have not yet received any email confirmation, yeah, please register again, and we'll make time to send those emails up to yourselves. Yeah. What is the best use case from Aaron? Kamusta, Aaron? Is one of our active community members, Aaron. What is the best use case to use Cloud Run versus App Engine? Who wants to take that up?
John, you want to go?
Yeah, interesting question, right? There's a lot of similarities here, right? But I think for Cloud Run, one key thing that I would highlight is, if you're familiar, it's event-driven architecture. right? Both can actually host container-based workloads, right? But let me start with Cloud Run. So Cloud Run, a lot of the things I see here is that you can host your own application, web application. It could be a job, backend job, or it could be a mini service to do data transformation, etc. So Cloud Run is quite flexible in that sense. And what I like about it is, of course, it's serverless. You can do pretty much a good, integration within the CI/CD pipeline that's native within GCP. On that point, right? On the point earlier for Cloud Run, one particular use case is event-driven architecture. So event-driven architecture, say for example, right? You monitor events before you actually run something in Cloud Run, right? Let me give you an example. So every time you say you want to process an image that you took a picture of your application, right? You take a picture, right? Then upload it to cloud storage, right? And then that is an event. So Cloud Run can listen to that event and actually do something, okay? And then uh, trigger another Cloud Run service or trigger pub sub or for fan out architecture. So I would, yeah, so it's quite valid. So in for App Engine, the most common use case there is really, web-based service, right? Web-based services. So HTTPS based service, particularly web applications, is the most common use case for App Engine. And one differentiating part is that there's one thing we call App Engine Flex, right? So App Engine Flex can actually let you also do SSH against the underlying machine, which wherein you cannot do that in Cloud Run, basically, right? So there's actually a good, I think, chart, right, in our Google Cloud page that helps you navigate which to choose between Cloud Run and App Engine. Anil, you want to add something?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Jan mentioned, uh, you choose between the different platforms and how much flexibility you want, or how much operations you want to do at the end of the day. So, when it comes to App Engine, right? Obviously, Google Cloud started almost like with App Engine. App Engine philosophy is like you have a code that supports a certain languages and certain versions. You give it to us, we will run it for you. But when it comes to Cloud Run, you have a container, give the container to us, and we will run it for you. So that's the big difference as far as I can say. Again, there are a lot of resources in Google Cloud, how to choose which service. And in fact, like John was mentioning, there is a video about it. For example, when do you choose Kubernetes engine? When do you choose Cloud Functions? When do you choose Cloud Run? When do you choose App Engine? I highly recommend to watch that video or blog article on which one you choose when. And again, thanks for bringing the question, right? This is also an important question that you will try to answer when you actually do certifications. When you look at Google Cloud, there are hundreds of solutions available. There is a Cloud Run, there is an App Engine, there is an App Engine Standard, there is an App Engine Flex, there is Cloud Functions, there is a Google Compute Engine, there is a Google Kubernetes Engine. There are different solutions available in Google Cloud. When you go for certification like Cloud Architect, there are 50 questions in the certifications. But you just need to really answer one question to clear the certification. Not literally like one question, but the question is which service will you use in which scenario and when. So that's important to understand when you use which solution based on the scenario given by the customers. If you answer that question, you can able to answer all the 50 questions at the end of the day. Hope this information helps. So we have another question. In terms of different architectures, does the Cloud Run supports multi-architectures in case of our Docker image was built for ARM or AMD? Uh, John, you want to take this question?
Yeah, actually, for I'm gonna maybe I don't have I would say the time to actually ask back and forth here in this platform, but typically for Cloud Run, currently I think supports just x86, if I'm not mistaken, right? Architecture, right? But I think typically for multi-architecture images, you would maybe try to consider GKE autopilot instead rather than Cloud Run, right? So if you're looking at multi-architecture support, so we actually have some documentations available in terms of how do you build multi-architecture workloads, both on ARM-based or non-ARM-based workloads to run in case of Docker build containers, right? So you can actually build it within the cloud build flow on how to ensure and check whether you're able to do multi-architecture. You can both run ARM-based architecture and non-based in GKE standard and GKE autopilot, right? So GKE standard, of course, running on ARM-based machines underneath, but while GKE AP gives you that sense of, I would say, not worrying about what node to run on. So I would recommend instead run on GKE autopilot.
Jan, are you open to answering one last question, guys? One last question.
What's the
Yeah. Good PM. Good PM. This is the first time I will use Google Cloud, and I saw a quest that required 7 hours to complete. Wow, no, the commitment 7 hours. Can I pause the quest midway and continue the other half another day?
Probably I can take the question. So each quest will have multiple laps, right? Laps is the one when you start, you have to finish within the timer. But the quests, you can do it anytime, and it just tells you how much amount of time it takes to complete the quest. The quest will have like 5 or 6 laps. Each lab will take certain amount of time, but the moment you start the lab, you have to finish the lab within that time. But the different labs that are part of the quest, you can do it anytime. You can start in the morning, first lab, and then you can take a pause, and then you can come back and do another lab in the evening or afternoon. So there is no time limit to complete the quest, but there is a time limit when it comes to completing a certain lab that is part of the quest. Hope that answers the question.
Okay, so with that, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And thank you again, Jan and Anil, for your time and sharing with us your knowledge and demos for the community. So uh, please continue the conversation. We're in Discord. You can post your questions. Let's help each other finish the quest. Let's inspire each other finish the quest. And if you uh, enjoy learning, yeah, please post some words of encouragement and inspiration to our group. Where we're all friendly there. We're all welcoming, and there's no question that is too low or too well, let's help each other out. So have a good evening, everybody. So signing off, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Bye bye.